On those areas that you mentioned, the fast developing areas, even all the more important. Usually in the traditional finance areas, banking, insurance, there are international standards that sort of govern what we do as international regulators. But for the fast developing things, such as crypto, digital assets, those standards have not yet been developed. So regulators learn from each other, we share our experiences so that we can together understand what those markets look like and how best to regulate them.
The DFSA is working on a regulatory regime for crypto tokens, something that Dubai prides itself, believes it has an edge on. What is the end goal there?
Well, there's no doubt that Dubai wants to be a digital hub and is well on the way to doing that. Within the DIFC, we regulated or developed our crypto regime a couple of years ago. Right now, we're looking at it again and making sure that it's still fit for purpose. If it needs to be modernized, we're doing that. But it's all about making sure that firms who come in have got the right governance arrangements, have the right compliance arrangements to be able to look after the business when it's there. So as a regulator, we want to make sure that firms can innovate, but we also need to make sure that there's a level of investor protection. And that's something that's non-negotiable for us.
The UAE went all in when it came to Binance, and following the collapse of that, did it have a material impact on UAE's reputation as a crypto hub?
Well, I'm the regulator of the Dubai International Financial Center. We actually didn't regulate Binance, and we didn't give them a license. There were other parts of the UAE that were interacting with Binance, but that's not something I can comment on because it wasn't within our financial center.
What can you do in Dubai and in the DFSA to protect investors to ensure that a collapse such as that one would not happen on your home soil?
You can never guarantee against a collapse. That's the first thing I would say in any sector. If you look at history, there's always been banking collapses, insurance collapses. You can never say that won't happen. But what we're careful about before issuing a license to someone is we need to understand their organizational structure. We need to ensure that they've got governance arrangements in place, and we need to ensure that they've got the capability, compliance capability inside their firm to understand our regulation and be able to comply with it. Now, if they do that, the markets can go against them, other things can happen, but we want to make sure that the threshold issues are there that they have to meet, and then you're at market risk after that.
Dubai's growth has sparked a surge in the number of companies operating in the DIFC. How are you keeping pace with that and growth to ensure that investors have confidence in your regulatory capability?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because last year was the busiest year we've ever had in terms of licensing new entrants into the market, and the year before that was the busiest year up until then. So the DIFC is growing very, very quickly. So we need to make sure as a regulator that we get the right sort of talent for the new business models that are emerging, and we have enough resources to be able to handle them. And we've done that. We've grown quite quickly over the past few years. Fortunately, Dubai is a place where it's easy to attract good talent, so we don't have any difficulty filling the spots that we need. But it's about keeping up with market developments. It's about making sure that when we bring in new staff, we don't just bring in experienced regulators, we're bringing in people from the market as well who've got good market experience, because we need up-to-date knowledge on business models. People who deal with firms that are regulated by the DIFC, by the DFSA I should say, they can be confident that we pay close attention to, as I mentioned before, their governance arrangements, ownership, capital arrangements, etc. But then, of course, then we have to maintain our vigilance on those firms to make sure they behave properly. We do that. Where we have to, then we then take enforcement action against them, and we've handed out some quite significant enforcement penalties where firms have done the wrong thing.